So back in 2010, there was only 185,000 Muslims in Japan, but in 2019, there is 230,000 Muslims in Japan. But you know what? I truly feel like Japan is one of those places that you'll see more and more people converting to Islam. And here is a beautiful video of like this guy asking, why are these Japanese people converting to Islam? Like, why are they choosing Islam?
私は日本出身でムスリムです。
ムスリムに触れるきっかけを教えてください。
イスラム教の教えが自分には響いた。
どうして日本だとムスリムって言えない状況が生まれてると思いますか？ Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Takashi from Japan. So today I'm going to interview Japanese Muslims. Why did you become Muslim? Okay, let's get started. 自己紹介してもらってもいい大丈夫ですか？
日本人ムスリムのサキ・サフワと申します。
開示と
By the way, before I even see the comments, okay? This right here is my right hand. The camera is flipped. Don't be writing down comments. Why are you drinking with your left hand? It's mirrored.
と申します。30歳で日本で生まれ育ってます。で2017年にイスラムに改宗をして、すでに7年が経っています。
7 years.
こんにちは、ゆいです。私は日本出身で、ムスリムです。改宗してから約1年になります。
翔太郎と申します。見ての通り日本人なんですけど、2019年に改宗しましたので、だいたい4年半ムスリムになって4年半ぐらいですね。
日本人ムスリマのゆりかです。ムスリマになって3年くらいです。
ムスリムになったきっかけ教えてください。
2021年にサウジアラビア出身の女性と出会いました。で、その方から中東には、日本に行きたい方っていうのがたくさんいるんですけど、なかなかその日本の情報がないっていうのをお聞きしました。日本の情報をアラビア語で発信をするということを、始めました。その発信始めた当時っていうのは正直イスラムのことをあまり知らなかったので、そこから勉強を始めて自分の中でこう変わっていくっていうのを、気づいたっていうのと、1年前にイスラム教の方と結婚をしたので、すごくいいタイミングだと思ったので、その時に入信を改宗ですねしました。
留学
That is very interesting. So this woman, she's like, I started studying more about Islam after someone planted a seed into her without even knowing. She's like, I started studying more about Islam. And then through studying it, my view on this whole religion changed. And that's the whole thing. It's like, you look at it from the outside and everybody's like, yeah, this religion is so barbaric. Even people on Twitter, they're like, it's so barbaric, it's so this and it's so that. And then when you go and you study it with an open mind, then you start seeing it's like, what the heck, this is actually so beautiful. And this is why I say go study things on your own, man. Doesn't matter what it is. You'll notice a lot of the things that you have already like views on, most of the time when you go and study these things, your view completely changes and you'll notice like, wow, this thing is like one of the best things that I've actually learned about. Beautiful.
していた先でムスリムの友達に出会って全然違うっていうところに驚いて、そこから興味を持って改宗しました。
どれぐらいですか今？
改宗して1年半程度です。イスラム教の教えが自分には響いたっていうことだと思います。例えば日本って上司と部下の関わりとか人を大切にするっていう文化があるんで、イスラムの中ではオベイしないといけないのはアッラーだけ。人に対して服従する必要はないし、縦の関係っていうのが個人とアッラーだけ。これがまず一つすごい面白いなって思ったことです。イスラムに触れた最初のきっかけは台湾に半年間留学していた時にトルクメニスタン人の人に出会いまして、ムスリムと
Hold on. So that person met a person, like the first woman, she met a Muslim person, and then that led to her conversion. It's the seed, right? And then this woman as well, she met a person, and this was the seed as well. This is why it's like, and you'll see it's like the stories of these people, the person that planted the seed, they don't even know that they were planting the seeds. This one time, Habibi, I was in the gym. When I used to go to Lifetime, because I stopped going to Lifetime, but when I used to go to Lifetime, I used to wake up every day during Fajr, and then pray Fajr in the masjid, and then go to Lifetime, because it was right next to the mosque. When I used to go there during Fajr, like understand, when you go during Fajr, it's early in the morning, so you won't ever see people that are lazy. It's only people that are like hardworking, productive, people that are actually rich. When I was there, this person used to always see me. I know it's so funny. I used to see this person too, and I used to judge him. I would be like, this person looks like it's one of those Toronto chodes, right? So I used to judge him, which I kind of feel bad, like just in my mind. But this person used to also look at me, and he used to like judge me, but in a good way. So he used to look at me, and he would be like, I don't know what he was thinking, but this one time he stopped me. He was like, brother, can I just stop you for a bit? I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, you play soccer, right? I'm like, yeah, at times. And then he's like, you're a Muslim. I was like, yeah, I'm a Muslim. He's like, I just saw you like in the masjid, like you came from the masjid in Fajr. I'm like, yeah. He's like, bro, I'm thinking of converting to Islam. Like, what am I supposed to do? And it's so crazy just because him seeing me and my friend every single time going to the masjid and then going to the gym, it almost like it planted a seed into him. It's like, wow, these Muslim people, they're so productive, they're so active, they're so hardworking. And so this person, he started studying more about it, and he's like, wow, so they wake up in the morning, they pray the salah. Even if the salah is like literally for 5 minutes, they still wake up, like, look at the dedication. And sometimes you don't even know that you're planting the seeds, but you are planting the seeds. So you'll notice it's like these people, most of their stories, it's always someone planting the seed, and then over time the seed is growing, and eventually it leads to them becoming Muslim. What's so funny is that I'm truly, like, that guy became a good friend of mine, but that friend of mine, I'm pretty sure like someone else planted the seed into him, and then as a result, Allah led him into like seeing me and my friend, and then eventually converting. But that's the beauty. Don't ever underestimate the seed. The seed is so powerful.
として生まれて、でムスリムとして生活を送っていたので、その人に出会った時にいろいろ感情が芽生えて、怖いっていう感情と、やっぱりこれはメディアから、マスメディアからの、留学中は結構一緒に遊んでたりしたんですけれど、日本に帰ってきてからはやっぱりちょっと怖くなって避けるようになっていきました。実際後悔してしまって勉強したいなっていうことで、日本に帰ってからイスラムの国に旅行するようになりました。帰ってきてから勉強できるところがあるかどうかっていうのを日本にいるインドネシアのムスリムの友達に聞いたんですね。でそこでの勉強というか、先生との会話とかが結構次のターニングポイントかなと思います。
2015年にブルネイという東南アジアのちっちゃい国に留学をしたんですけれども、 70% から 80% はイスラム教の方でした。ホスピタリティだったりとか、優しさだったりとか、価値観、考え方っていうところがものすごく自分の考え方とフィットして、それにやっぱりすごく、共感というかシンパシー感じたので、改修を2017年にしました。もともとは、東南アジアでいろいろ留学を見ていてがいいなと最初思ってました。マレーシアかタイか、でマレーシア行きたいって感じ始めて、マレー語を勉強し始めたんです。マレーシア語でいろいろこう調べていくと、ブルネイも同じマレー語が使われてるんですね。マレーシア語とほぼほぼ一緒なんですけれども、英語教育がすごい発展をしているのがブルネイで、もともとイギリスの領だったんですね。植民地の関係で、英語かつマレー語を勉強でき、かつ東南アジアで留学ができるというところでブルネイを選びました。
そもそも学生時代に
That's beautiful. Have you noticed? Like even this person right here, every one of them, they're like, either I met a person from a different country or I traveled to a different country. You see why Allah tells you, like, go travel the land, see the things that Allah has created. It opens up your mind so much, just the fact that you get out of the four walls, because you're getting out of the box, right? And then when you get out of the box, you can literally start thinking outside the box. And just this thinking outside the box is almost always going to lead you to a good place. And you'll see most of these people, whenever they travel, almost always, if their heart is pure, they'll always be led to a beautiful place.
バングラデシュとかパレスチナとか、アラブ地域とかに旅行することが多くって、そこの文化とか人がすごく好きで、素敵な宗教だなって思ってすごい勉強したんです、学生時代に。それで友達も自然とムスリムの人が多くって。
日本人ってアラブとかのエリアに旅行する人ってあんまりいないと思うんですよね。だいたいヨーロッパ、アメリカ、アジアの中とか。どうして大学の時にそのエリアに行かれたんですか？
メジャーなものよりもなんかマイナーなものが好きな変わり者で、大学の専攻は本当はミャンマーだったんですけど、刺激を求めるにつれどんどん西の方に寄った感はあります。そのヨルダンにいる時にそもそもすごい詳しいところまで教えてくれて、クルアンについて、日々やることについてとかお祈りについて、で確かにいざ日本に帰ってきて自然と日本でも行けるかなみたいな感じで、あとはやっぱりパートナーがアラブ系の方なので、チュニジアの人なので、それは
Yeah, that's actually so interesting. These Arab people or the Muslim, they're really interested in marrying Japanese. Like this woman married a Tunisian and that woman married someone from Turkmenistan. That's so interesting. But that's so beautiful. Again, it's just the seed, right? Like this girl, and you know what? Here's the thing. this girl just naturally she wanted to go somewhere more exciting. It's almost like I tell you all the time, the desires that Allah puts in your heart, don't ignore these desires, like these little inspirational hunches or thoughts that come out of nowhere. Don't ever underestimate these, because these are usually, it's almost like a way for Allah to accept your dua. So sometimes you might make a dua for something, whatever it is. Like for example, let's just say you want to make $1 million a month, and then you make dua for $1 million a month. Then naturally, Allah's just gonna maybe put a little hunch in your heart to go and travel to an Arab country. And then you're like, you don't know where that came from, but then you'll see yourself going to the laptop, clicking some buttons, going on the traveling website, buying the ticket, packing everything, and you'll notice like everything happens so effortlessly. It happens so easily. And then like just somehow you just see yourself and you're like, how did I end up in Jordan? Just like this woman right here. But it's because these desires that Allah puts in your heart, don't ever ignore these, because this is how Allah is accepting your dua. Doesn't matter who you are, if you're a Muslim or non-Muslim, Allah is accepting the dua of all of humanity. Allah is taking care of all of humanity, even Japan, obviously, like the entire earth. So when you're making this dua, by the way, when you make dua, it's not just when you make it like this. The fact that you're thinking of something and you're wanting something, that's you technically making a dua. So then when you get these desires in your heart, don't ever ignore them. Go and act upon them. And by the way, this is going to also make your life very exciting, because you're like, wow, it's like, what's the next thing that's going to happen? And then this is how you'll start receiving rizq, or like sustenance, wealth, from a place where you don't even expect it.
それはありますね。それでかいと思います。
結婚されたばっかですよね。
そうですね。1年前くらいで結
お
構。
めでとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
まあ、アラビア語の勉強と、あとは大学中東地域研究って言って、例えばアラブの国々の文化とか政治背景について勉強をしてたんですけど、でその時にですね、アラビア語の表現の中に、例えば神に関する表現がたくさんあるんですけど、アッラーが助けてくださいますようにっていう、アッラーに関する言葉がたくさん、神っていう言葉がたくさん入っていて、使われていて、一日の中に生きているんだなっていうのが、すごく感動したっていうのが、まず一つですかね。で、
That's actually a beautiful reason. This guy is like, wait, I took a 1-year leave from university to study in Palestine. This guy actually went to Palestine to study? That's beautiful. But yeah, this guy is saying in the Arabic culture, he means just the Muslim culture, you see the presence of God everywhere. And you'll notice that too, like in the Muslim culture, not just the Arabic culture. Like whatever you do, like me, I'm drinking this, I'm always reminded to drink it with my right hand, not the left hand. This screen is mirrored. And then when I drink it, you say Bismillah, in the name of God. And then when you finish, you're like, Alhamdulillah. And then when you're just sitting, you're like, you just do dhikr, like Astaghfirullah or Subhanallah. It's like the entire work of your life is just dhikr of Allah. And dhikr of Allah is the presence of Allah. That's all the work. So I always say it's like your job is not a teacher, it's not a YouTuber, it's not an engineer. Your job is just to constantly be in a state of dhikr of Allah. Whoever you are, by the way, even if you're an atheist, you'll notice that this is actually the most beautiful state to be in. And you'll notice that this connects so deeply in your heart, because this is innately within your heart. So when you see someone who's like the presence, like I live my life with the presence of God, and anything I do, there's always the presence of God. Most people, if you're not dirty-hearted, obviously, you're always going to be thinking that's a beautiful state to be living in, because innately in your heart, you know that's a beautiful state to be living in. And that's why most people, crazy, like that's why most people are getting attracted to this beautiful religion.
で、大学1年間休学してパレスチナに留学をしてました。5ヶ月なんですけど、明確には。そこでやっぱり同じようにムスリムの方々のホスピタリティに触れる機会があって、今の妻にパレスチナで出会うというのもきっかけの一つだったので、すごく周りのパレスチナのムスリムの方々たちがすごく喜んでくれたっていうところで、外国人、特にアジア人ってパレスチナですごく珍しかったんですけど、
日本人ムスリムとして生活するっていうのは何か
ヨーロッパとか欧米の国々と比べるとやっぱり日本はイスラムに対するヘイトとか非常に少ないと、そういうところで差別を受けたことってのはほとんどないですかね。
無知とヘイトってちょっと違うじゃないですか。無知はあると思います。
無知はしょっちゅうあると思っていて、僕は豚肉とお酒は飲まないんだっていうと、なんでなのっていうところから始まって、ヘイトとは違うから分かってくれるっていうかね、特に同じ世代のだと
毎回説明するのはめんどくさいなとかそういうのはないです。
個人的にはいい機会だと思ってますかね。それをきっかけにやっぱりイスラムのことを、ムスリムになりたての頃は2017年とかだったので、かなり不安なことがありました。友達のこととか
会社の関係とか家族の関係とか、じゃあ日本での生活はどうなるのかっていうのはすごく懸念をしてました。実際にそこまでめちゃめちゃ大変っていう感じたことはなくって、もちろん家族も今は受け入れてくれてますし、あと友達に関してもものすごく大変だなっていう感じることはあんまりないんですが、仕事の関係でどうしても言いにくい場合もたまにあったりするんですね。そういう時は例えば飲み会誘われたり、ハラルでないレストランとかに言わずに食べれないものは避けるっていうこともしてました。
どうして日本だとムスリムって言えない状況が生まれてると思いますか？
た瞬間に聞いてはいけないものを聞いてしまったような表情をされる方が結構多いんですよ。そうですか、失礼しましたみたいな、TPO の場所とか相手とかに分けて言い方をすごい変えたりとかしてます。
私の周りはそもそも理解ある人が多いので、環境としてあんまり困ったことはないんですけど、ラマダン期間中とかは仕事の配慮とか何もないので、断食とか水も飲んじゃいけないっていうのもなかなか理解されなくって、それはしんどいなって思います。
ラマダンって水も飲んじゃいけないんですか？僕知らないですけど、ちょっとダメなんですか？そうなんだ。
Hold on, this guy is actually is so funny. He can't drink water? He's a Muslim too.
だからみんな水くらい飲んでとか言うんですけど、いや水飲んだら断食終わんのよと
This
思
guy
っ
is
て。
funny.
普通の日本人、本当にラマダンって言葉も多分知らない人多いと思うんですよね、正直。
ですよね。そう他にはやっぱ細かいこと言い出すと、豚とかあとはゼラチンとかも全部豚入ってるので、細かいことをし始めると本当に生活は大変になるので、どこまで折り合いをつけるか、もうそれは自分と神様の間なので、他の人にどう言われることじゃないし、そこは私はうまく折り合いをつけて問題なくストレスなくできてるなと思います。
教育機関がないということ、一回回収してイエイ終わりではないので、その後勉強続けないと。
You know what, sir? I don't even see that as a problem nowadays. No Islamic education. Habibi, just go online on YouTube. You'll see all the Islamic education that you need. This whole thing about credibility, credentials, and all that stuff, I don't believe in that stuff at all. At all. All you need to do is just go on YouTube, study, find someone that you resonate with, and just start studying. And then slowly, what you'll notice is that over time, you'll start actually growing. For example, if you listen to one speaker, over time, when you grow and grow, you will start listening to a different speaker, and you'll be like, wow, I've learned so much from this speaker, but now it's I feel like I know way more than the speaker. So have at least 5 speakers that you're listening to. Not even speakers, even scholars. You can find scholars on thing, or even read books. You know, self-education is one of the best things you can do, because after university, especially here in the West, most people don't even study. Most people don't even pick up a book. Most people don't even read. The only thing that they're reading is maybe just the tweets, and that's all. And that's so sad, because that leaves you so close-minded. It leaves it just ruins your IQ. It diminishes your IQ. Most people, it's not that your IQ gets lower as you grow older. It's just that you stop reading as you grow older, which is so sad. So it's not the age that makes you unable to think or unable to have memory or all of that stuff. It's you not using this brain.
自分が正しいと思っていることがなんで正しいのかってわからないと、例えば電車の中で私ヒジャブかぶってるんです。かぶってる時は隣に誰も座らないし、目線は感じますね。あれ、顔日本人っぽいけどこの人ヒジャブかぶってるけどみたいな感じかもしれないんです。あなたどっち側なのみたいなのを思ってるのかなってちょっと。
基本的。
By the way, all this stuff about when I'm wearing the hijab, and then I start thinking they're thinking, oh, she's Japanese and she's Muslim, or it's what are you? All of these are just thoughts of the shaitan. Most of them are not even real. People don't give a crap about you, bro. They don't even care. You can walk around, well, in Japan, obviously, you can't walk around naked, but you can walk around shirtless. They won't even care. They won't even give a crap. That's the thing. Well, not as a woman, but they won't even care. So all these thoughts is just usually in your head, whether you're a man or a girl. So what you do is just whenever you're having these thoughts, just be like, A'udhu billah as-sami' al-alim min ash-shaytan al-rajim. Because shaitan knows that humans are scared of other humans, because we have something biologically within us that if a human rejects me, technically I'm out of the tribe, and then if I'm out of the tribe, I'm left alone in nature. And if I'm left alone in nature, I'll be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or a mammoth. This is how life was back in the day, when people used to live in stone ages and all that stuff. So Which, by the way, I don't even think we used to live in Stone Ages, but back then, we used to live in tribes. And then if you leave these tribes, you're technically alone. So back then, you had to be in a community. Which is why your brain, over time, your brain knows, like, if I'm rejected, I'm done. Rejection equals death. That's why I'll constantly be getting these thoughts. Shaitan knows this. Shaitan has been alive for a long time, longer than you and me. So Shaitan's going to come and utilize this. So he's going to be putting waswasa in your mind to use this thing against you. So whenever he's using this thing against you, just say, A'udhu billah as-sami' al-alim min ash-shaytan ar-rajim, and you'll notice it's going to go in an instant.
にこう肌を見せることができないので、服とかだ特に夏物とかだとすごいこう背中が開いていたりだとかノースリーブのものが多いので、それが着れなくなったっていうことは結構大変ですね。はい。
より自分の人生が良くなったって思う瞬間ありますか？
ムスリムってすごくコミュニティとかがたくさんあって、人と人とのすごい助け合いとかが多くあるので、なのでこう人生例えば何かが起こってもこういろんな本当に助け合いがあるので、そういうところはすごく大きいです。
結構簡単に対処できるようになったなって思います。自分にとっても他者にとってもいいことはしたらいい、そうじゃないことはしてはダメっていうことがすごいクリアなんで、めっちゃ生活が楽。
By the way, this girl said something interesting where she was like, in the past, in the beginning of the video, she was like, Islam is so beautiful because in Japan we have like a hierarchical system, but in Islam it's like, forget all of that, it's just God and that's it. And that is so beautiful because again, it shows you that everything is nothing. Literally everything is nothing. So everything in your mind is nothing. And then when you're praying, you're constantly being reminded that it is nothing. Why? Because every single time when you're praying, you always say Allahu Akbar. So any thought that you have in your mind, Allah is greater than that. So God is always greater than that. Everything is literally nothing. Only Allah is the greatest of all time. Which should show you like this is such a beautiful state to be in. Just having this state automatically puts you like, makes you a Muslim. If you constantly think Allah is greater, the creator is greater, this God that created everything is greater than anything else, this makes you a Muslim because you're basically submitting your will, you're submitting your thoughts to this creator. So that makes you a Muslim. So it's almost like in your mind you just said La ilaha illallah, because that's what La ilaha illallah means. There is nothing that's worthy of my attention, of my worship, of following except Allah. And that's so beautiful. So just you thinking that Allah is the greatest, Allah is greater than anything, technically you're a Muslim.
ですね。
ヒジャブつけられてないと思うんですけど、その日本で生きてるからつけられてないのか、それともパトナーの故郷のチュニジアとかにもし行くってなったらつけると思いますか？どういうふうな認識ですか？
その行く地域に正直よります。だから例えばヨルダン行った時とかは、完全なムスリマじゃなかったけど、みんなが環境としてしっかりつけてたから私もつけてたし、ただ日本もそうですし、チュニジアも私の周りはつけてない人が多いので、だからつけてないです。ただやっぱりすっごい露出が多い服とかは着ないようにしますけど。
その家族に関しての反応は最初回収した時はどうでした？
実は回収する前、お母さんはすごい反対でした。ムスリム、イスラムだけではなくって、やっぱり日本で宗教自体がネガティブな印象だと思うので、あんた宗教だけには入るなよと、イスラムじゃなくて宗教には入るなよっていうのはずっと言われてて、実際に回収を考え始めたのが、2015年16年ぐらいで、でもイスラムのことについてもちろん説明する勇気はなかったです。両親、特にお母さんはですね、海外での経験とかあんまりない一般的な日本人です。
You see, what's so sad, this is very common where they're like, my parents have like closed-mindedness. I don't know, again, that happens because you don't read. Not all old people have closed-mindedness. You'll see, if you truly read, even as you grow older, you keep using your mind. You travel, you look at the world that Allah has created. You don't just stay in your little box. You don't just stay in your little life or your own, only thinking, oh, I gotta pay the bills, I gotta make sure the house is paid, I gotta make sure the kids are fine, all that stuff. That's not just what life is. That's literally not just what life is. So then the more you need to expand your brain constantly. And the way you do that, by reading, by traveling. So the more you do that, the more that you're not going to be like those people that almost like they stop growing. Stop growing. Never ever stop growing.
ですよね。そのリアルな情報っていうのはもちろん知らないんだろうなと思ってました。リアルな体験をすれば考え方が変わるなっていうことは思ってたので、ムスリムになる前にムスリムの友人と合わせたりとか、人としていや普通でしょっていう風に接する機会を作るようにはしてて、 1年間ぐらい2年間ぐらい続けてってでムスリムになりましたって言ってもムスリムがどういう人かも知ってるし実際にコミュニケーションもしてるのでそこまで反対っていうのはなく
This guy is smart. This guy's actually very smart because you know, when I say that most parents they actually have closed-mindedness, and it's because they don't read, they don't even they're not willing to grow. Most of the time, you'll notice that because there's a hadith that says that Islam is going to be in every household, every household. So sometimes if you're avoiding everything, Allah is still gonna make you experience this beautiful religion through your son or through your daughter or through something doesn't matter what it is. So you right now, if you're like a revert or a convert, understand that there's a quote that Habib says where it's like non-Muslims, they don't read Quran or Hadith, they don't read any of that stuff, they read you. So you're the representation of what Islam truly is. So if you're not acting within Islam, you're representing it badly. But then when you act within Islam, that's what a perfect human being is. That's literally what a perfect human being is, and that's what we're all trying to achieve.
だったです。
回収するっていう話をした時にただ豚を一緒に食べれなくなるっていうのがすごい悲しくて泣いてました。兄弟たちも自分たちになんかその宗教の勧誘とかしなかったらいいよって言われて、父親は一言アドバイスをくれて、何でもそうやけど宗教とかは特に最初はいいことだけや、だから入ったら悪いところも見えてくるし、もしかしたらお金って言われるかもしれへんし、副作用も分かっているんだったら入ったらええんちゃうって言われて、じゃあ分かったって言って回収しました。
インドネシアの女性とご結婚されてお子さんもいると。
はい、そうですね。
お子さんはハーフインドネシアンハーフジャパニーズなわけじゃないですか。子供の育て方とかもやっぱりそういうのはありますか？
まず一つはムスリムイスラムとしてどうやって育てるか、もう一つはそのよく言われるハーフ、まだそこまで言葉も喋れないんですけれども、じゃあ言葉をどうするのかとか、じゃあ公立の学校行ったら、私立の学校でもいいんだけど給食は多分他の人と違ったりするとか、クリスマスはね祝わないからハロウィンもないバレンタインもそうねだからその辺をねこうどうしていくかとか、今保育園なんだけれども保育園は一応除去食っていう形で豚肉を鶏肉に変えてもらって、じゃあ学校でそれができるかっていうとなかなか難しかったりするから、その辺はじゃあどうしていこうかっていうのを今、はい、すぐ考える。
Dang, apparently this whole pork thing is actually a big issue in Japan. Yeah, that's a big issue in Japan. I was gonna say, children, they're born Muslim. They're born like connected to Allah. So if anything, you're the one that's gonna be learning more from your child than your child learning from you. If you just allow your child to be almost like be themselves, you'll notice that the child naturally, they're always gonna be inclined to do things that are pleasing to this one creator. And I've seen that with my own nephews. They just do things that are naturally pleasing to the creator. They're just naturally happy, walking around free, spinning around. That's the beauty. Like you'll learn so much just from having a child, because you're like, wow, so this is truly what being submitted to Allah is, which is just, it's like pure happiness. Most people don't even think that, because you think, oh, the wisdom is with the old people. Oh, the wisdom is with the ones that learn Allah. Nah, man, the wisdom is with the ones that are just born. Which is so funny, because even you'll see Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was unlearned, which means he didn't know a lot about Allah, but he only knew about Allah, and that allowed him to know everything that is useful, everything. And that's why you'll see him, he had a great character. So almost like a child is the perfect character, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the perfect character, and the way to achieve both of these is to unlearn a lot of the things and clean your heart. So that's the thing, it's like if you have because he was saying, I want to raise my child as a Muslim. I'm like, nah, bro, your child is already a Muslim. Just help them maintain their childhood, because understand, childhood, the only reason why you love your childhood is because back then you were actually present. Not because you were a child, you were present. You were only living with the moment, which means that you were constantly connected to this one creator. When you grow older and then you start developing you start becoming conscious, that's when you'll start putting your attention on so many of the dunya things. Like if someone annoyed you, you'll be putting your attention on them for a long time. Like you'll start having hatred towards them, you'll start getting jealous, you'll start getting angry. But then you look at a child, no anger, no jealousy, no hatred, none of those things. They're just constantly living with bliss, with enlightenment. And it's because, again, the path is to unlearn a lot of the things. The path is to be present again. And when you become present again, that's when you'll notice it's like Childhood was never something that you lose, because childhood is just presence. You've lost childhood because you've lost presence. You've lost that beautiful feeling because you lost your presence. When you become present once again and you start living in the moment, which means you're submitting your will to Allah in every single moment, that's when you'll notice, like, wow, so I'm back. This is what life truly is. It's almost like when when you turn off the light and then immediately you rush to the bedroom and then you put the blanket on, you start to feel like you're safe. In reality, you can always get that feeling of safety because Allah is always here. The mercy of Allah is always here. It's just when you don't put your attention on it, which is the present moment, that's when you start feeling unsafe. That's when you start feeling these low-level emotions. But all you have to do is just be present, understand that Allah's mercy is always here, and just through that, you become a Muslim once again. It's almost like this makes you a Muslim, and then putting your attention on other things like losing this presence makes you a non-Muslim. So it's almost like you have to get back constantly, every moment, get back, become a Muslim once again, become a Muslim once again. And how do you do that? La ilaha illallah. Allah is always here. Only put your attention, only Allah. Allahu Akbar. It's just pure dhikr, pure remembrance will put you in pure presence.
日本人がムスリムとかイスラムに対するイメージ、何があると思います？
テロとか怖いイメージですよね。でもう一方はやっぱりサウジアラビアの影響か、お金持ち、リッチっていうイメージ。実際そのイメージに関しては、まずお金持ちの面に関しては一部の方々ですよね。一部の国々の一部の方々お金持ち。
多分やっぱメディアの影響とかで怖いっていうイメージが多い人は多いんじゃないかなって。私も大学の専攻とか選ぶ時まだ高校生、ムスリムの友達ゼロって段階だと、そのイスラム圏は怖かった。だから選ばなかった言語として。教科書通りに習うとイスラム教はすごい厳しい宗教だと思う。お祈りとか断食とか大変そうって思われる方が多いんじゃないかなって気がします。
偏見はあるかもしれない。私も今回収してなかったら偏見は絶対あるんですね。だけどこの回収した上で目線は感じるっていうのはあっても、それを直接何か言われたりとかっていうのは他の国みたいにないと思いますね。
やっぱり過去に比べるとすごくね、観光客も増えてきてるし、日本に住んでるムスリムの方も増えてはいるので、ものすごくオープンになってきています。海外の方々がいないと日本の経済ってどんどん落ちていくので、観光もそうだし、地方の企業も人手不足だったりするので、もう日本人が変わらざるを得ない状況にはなってきてるのかなっていうのは思います。
旅行とかじゃなくて住みたいっていう方に何か言いたいことだったりメッセージアドバイスありますか？
日本はイスラム教の国ではないので、イスラム教として信仰していこうってなると大変なことが多いとは思います。来る前にはやっぱり日本のことをしっかりと学んでおくべきかなと思います。
もし一人で住むんだったらすごい過ごしやすいと思います。日本ってなんかあまり言い過ぎないというか、感情的なパーソナルスペースが確保されてるじゃないですか、これが他の国だったら批判的なところもあるのかなって思うんですけれど、日本だったらそこは全然大丈夫ですね。
イスラムフォビアとかヘイト的なところはほぼないですし、ムスリムを受け入れる、レストランだったりとかプレイヤースペースだったりとか、あと理解ですね、その辺もだんだん改善というか年々良くなってきているので、ぜひぜひ日本に来てください。
で実際日本語と英語とアラビア語も話せる？
アラビア語もはい大丈夫です。
どうやってアラビア語を勉強したのか？
أنا أول شيء درست في الجامعة، درست في الفصحى، فكان شو اسمه يعني من محاضرة بالجامعة أول شيء، درست في الكتاب يعني طبعا. فكمان كم معلمين يابانيين مش عربيين، فكمان فعشان هيك يعني كنت بدي أحكي كنت يعني لا أفكر لازم أتعلم من عرب. صرت رحت الايفنت في هيروشيما، فيعني شفت يعني عرب هناك، تعرفت عليهم، صرت بحكي عربي شوي بالبداية.
السلام عليكم، أنا اسمي يوريكا، درست بتونسي وتوا نحكي بدرجة تونسية. لما كنت طالبة كنت في الأردن وتعلمت لهجة فلسطينية وزاد الثقافة الفلسطينية وإسلامية وحبيت كثير. وأنا عندي قناة يوتيوب اسمها هنا اليابان، فنشوفكم غادي إن شاء الله. مع السلامة.
That's crazy. They know how to speak Arabic actually pretty nicely. Japanese people are smart, man. But see, that's the beauty. Allah says, like, وَلَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ. The greatest thing there is in the world is just dhikr of Allah. So I notice whenever I even talk about dhikr, whatever you want to call it, meditation, presence, living every moment with bliss, whatever you want to call it, is just remembering Allah. Most people are like, they get turned off just because they're like, no, it's not salah, it's not siyam. Habibi, dhikr. In every moment, you're constantly remembering Allah. That is the greatest thing you can do. Like, this is all the work that you need to do. So even to people that just converted to Islam and all that, it's when you'll notice that when you first say your shahada, you'll get like such a beautiful feeling that most people cry when they do it. But then slowly as you live, you start to forget that. Like you start to lose that feeling. But it's because you have to be a Muslim in every moment. Every moment. It's not like a one-time thing where you do it. Even for the born Muslim people, you don't just do it once and then you're just like, oh, I'm done. I'm technically a Muslim now. Yeah, you identify as a Muslim, but are you truly Muslim by heart? Are you truly submitted to the Creator by heart? When you submit to the Creator, when you submit your will to Allah, that's when you'll be getting that feeling constantly. Don't be thinking also that the word, because usually they say the word qalb means that this thing that always flips. So your heart is the thing that always flips. So one time it is feeling nice sweetness of faith, one time it's feeling not so much sweetness. But understand, whoever you are, you need to move from faith to knowing, from faith to yaqeen. So at this point, it's like you're certain that Allah is always here. And how do you become certain that Allah is always here? When you experience Allah. How do you experience Allah? Dhikr. When you're constantly in a state of dhikr, you'll be able to, in every moment, constantly experience Allah. And this is how you flow through the world in harmony. Almost like you literally 100x your life when you do this. And at this point, like whatever you want, because remember, at this point, everything's beneath you because you're connected to the highest. So at this point, whatever you want, ask Allah and then kun fayakun. That's what Allah's going to say. Be, and then it becomes. That's where you go beyond time. Because when you're with Allah, Allah is beyond time and space. So then when you're with Allah, you become beyond time and space because you're connected to Allah. It's almost like Allah takes you, Allah keeps you with Him. And this is so beautiful because Allah says, remember me and I will remember you. This is not just like when your wife is like, hey, did you remember me? Because I'm remembering you. Like, it's not like that. It's like when you remember Allah, Allah's almost like, is gonna, you have like a shadow over you, or like the mercy of Allah, you'll constantly be swimming through it, almost like as a river. When the river moves, it's going to move towards a certain direction. So you'll be literally swimming with the river of the mercy of Allah. That's what tasbih is, by the way. Tasbih comes from the word sabaha, which means to swim. So when you constantly do tasbih, which is dhikr, which is remembering the mercy and the greatness of this Creator, this creating everything, when you do that more and more, you'll start swimming with the ocean, with the river, with the mercy of Allah. And again, whatever you want, you just make the request to Allah, and Allah's going to say kun fayakun. By the way, in the link in the description right now, I do have a course that talks about exactly this beautiful concept right here. I called it effortless rizq. All it is just that you get connected to Allah. And that once you're connected to Allah, whatever work you're doing, if you're doing business, if you're doing work, if you're doing whatever it is that you're doing to try to make money, I teach you how do you get connected to Allah immediately. And then once you're connected, how do you request? And then through you requesting, you'll notice that you'll start receiving effortless rizq, to the point that, again, kun fayakun. You'll still obviously you'll be doing effort, you'll be doing things, but it'll feel so effortless because you'll be working from inspiration. You'll be working from the will of Allah. And that is so beautiful. So remember, in every single moment, you constantly have to be coming back as a Muslim. Do you know what entropy is? Entropy means that things naturally, they move towards chaos. Energy naturally moves towards disorder, which means, to put it simply, if I have this cup right here, right? If I leave it sitting for 1,000 years, it's going to deteriorate because naturally the vibrations, the molecules, they vibrate at a certain frequency where it's just going to deteriorate, which means everything's going to eventually start to become dirty. If you, right now, you don't take a shower for a long time, you'll become dirty. So everything naturally, they're just going to become dirty in chaos, which means everything needs renewing. And your heart as well, it needs cleansing, it needs renewing. And the way to do that is through dhikr, remembering Allah. And then once you do that, that's how you'll start flowing with the will of Allah.